There is a ghost that follows you everywhere. It is not made of chains or shadows. It is made of memory, the mistake you made, the words you never said, the opportunity you missed, the version of you that failed. It whispers at night. It tightens your chest in quiet moments. It convinces you that your worst day is your true identity. And the most dangerous part? You think it has power over you. Here, at the Stoic Lighthouse, we do not chase shortcuts or comforting illusions. We seek clarity, direction, and inner steadiness in the middle of chaos. The Stoics understood something radical more than 2,000 years ago. The past has no authority over you unless you hand it the gavel. You cannot erase what happened, but you can change your relationship with it. In this video, you will confront 5 Stoic principles that dismantle regret at its roots. You will learn how to turn guilt into discipline, pain into instruction, and memory into fuel. Freedom does not begin tomorrow, it begins now. Number 1, the past is a closed country you can never revisit. The first Stoic truth is simple, brutal, and deeply liberating. The past is over, not weakened, not negotiable, not waiting for your apology. It is a closed country, and there are no return flights, yet most people live as if they can mentally travel back. They replay conversations, rewrite decisions, argue with memories. They try to control what has already solidified into fact. Epictetus built his entire philosophy on one dividing line: what is within your control and what is not. He warned, some things are up to us and some things are not. When you obsess over yesterday, you are attempting to dominate something that does not exist anymore. You are fighting a shadow and exhausting yourself in the process. The Stoics would call this self-inflicted suffering. You would never curse the sunset for disappearing. You would never resent winter for arriving. Yet you resent reality when it takes the form of your own past. Acceptance is not weakness, it is strategic clarity. To say, it happened, is not surrender. It is the reclaiming of your energy. Ryan Holiday translates this ancient principle into modern language. The past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. If you live in yesterday, you abandon today. And today is the only place where your character can be shaped. Let this land clearly. The emotional power of your past is not stored in the event. It is stored in your continued resistance to it. The first key to freedom is radical recognition. It happened. It cannot be changed. And it does not belong to you anymore. When you stop trying to rewrite history, you finally free your hands to right action. Number 2, power exists. Only here, the ruthless discipline of the present. If the past is closed and the future is uncertain, then there is only one arena left, the present moment. This is where your life actually happens. Not in memory, not in imagination, but here. Most people are physically present and mentally absent. They sit in meetings replaying yesterday. They lie in bed rehearsing tomorrow. They move through life like ghosts haunting their own timeline. The Stoics rejected this completely. Seneca warned that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. He saw men wasting entire lives in distraction, postponement, and regret. He wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The man trapped in the past is not living, he is revisiting, and every moment spent revisiting is a moment not invested in becoming. Here is the uncomfortable truth. When you cling to regret, you are choosing it over action, because action only exists now. You cannot repair yesterday directly, but you can behave differently today. That is where power lives. Heraclitus, long before the Stoics, observed that you cannot step into the same river twice. The water moves on. So do you. The version of you that made that mistake is already gone. So why keep punishing a person who no longer exists? This is the discipline of presence. When regret appears, notice it, then return to the task in front of you. Return to your breath. Return to the conversation you are having. The present moment is not poetic. It is practical. It is where habits are formed, where character is sculpted, where identity shifts. And this is the pivot most people miss. If this way of seeing life is already making sense to you, it is because you are not just looking for external solutions. You are trying to live with deeper awareness. This space exists for exactly that reason. Now understand something even sharper. Change does not happen through emotional punishment. It happens through present discipline. You are not redeemed by thinking about improvement. You are redeemed by acting differently right now. That email you have been avoiding, that apology you have postponed, that habit you promised to build, all of it exists only here. The present is not small, it is absolute. Number 3, turn your wounds into teachers. Freeing yourself from the past does not mean deleting it. It means reinterpreting it. Most people do not suffer because of what happened. They suffer because of the meaning they attach to what happened. There is a crucial difference between an event and a judgment. The event, you failed. The judgment, you are a failure. The event, you hurt someone. The judgment, you are irredeemable. Stoicism trains you to separate the two. Marcus Aurelios constantly reminded himself that events are neutral. It is our interpretation that gives them weight. He reflected, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. This is where most people remain trapped. They convert temporary mistakes into permanent identities, but a Stoic approaches the past like a strategist reviewing a failed campaign, not with shame, with analysis. What were the variables? What assumptions were wrong? What weakness was exposed? That shift alone transforms regret into instruction. Modern psychology confirms what the Stoics practiced centuries ago. Carol Dweck calls it the growth mindset. She explains, in a growth mindset, failure is not a verdict, it is information. Information is power. Shame is paralysis. The disciplined mind asks, what did this teach me? Ryan Holiday puts it bluntly, the obstacle is the way. Your mistake is not the end of your story, it is the curriculum. But this requires emotional courage, because it is easier to punish yourself than to examine yourself. It is easier to say, I am broken, than to say, I have something to improve. The Stoic does not worship pain, he extracts from it. So take the memory that still burns, write it down, then list 3 things it taught you, not emotionally, objectively. You will notice something surprising. The very thing you wished never happened may be the reason you are stronger, sharper, more disciplined today. When you shift from victim to student, the past loses its authority. It becomes a teacher, and teachers do not imprison you, they prepare you. Number 4, Amor, Fati, the dangerous art of loving what happened. So far, we have talked about mistakes, but what about the things you did not choose? The betrayal, the illness, the loss, the environment you were born into. How do you make peace with a past that feels unfair? This is where Stoicism becomes uncomfortable, because it does not merely ask you to accept what happened, it asks you to love it. The Stoics practice something radical. Amor, Fati, the love of fate. Not passive tolerance, not forced positivity, but the disciplined decision to embrace reality exactly as it unfolded. Friedrich Nietzsche later articulated this Stoic spirit with brutal clarity. He wrote, "My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. This is not sentimental, it is psychological sovereignty. To say, I wish it had never happened, is to remain at war with your own history, and you cannot build strength while fighting the past." Seneca understood adversity as a test of character. He argued, fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men. The hardship you endured was not random noise in your life, it was pressure, and pressure forges steel. Viktor Frankl, surviving the concentration camps, discovered something that echoes Stoicism profoundly. He observed, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. This is Amor, Fati in practice. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what did this shape within me? Resilience, depth, empathy, discipline. When you adopt Amor, Fati, regret dissolves. Because regret implies that reality made a mistake. Stoicism says reality is the training ground. Your past was not an interruption to your life. It was the forge. And you walked out of it stronger than you entered. To love your fate is not weakness. It is the ultimate refusal to be broken by it. Number 5, you are not your worst day. There is one final trap the past sets for you. Identity. You fail once and say, I am a failure. You act out of fear and say, I am weak. You procrastinate and say, I am undisciplined. A single action becomes a permanent label. This is how regret hardens into identity. But Stoicism offers a radically different view of who you are. You are not a fixed statue. You are a process. Marcus Aurelios reminded himself daily that character is built through present action, not past memory. He wrote, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Not yesterday, not theoretically, now. A Stoic is not someone who once acted bravely. A Stoic is someone choosing courage in this moment. Identity is not a photograph. It is a live transmission. Seneca himself embodied this transformation. Early in life, he moved through wealth, politics, and compromise. Later, he reshaped his life around philosophical discipline. He did not allow his past to dictate his future character. He understood something essential. Each day is a contained life. James Clear, speaking from behavioral science rather than ancient philosophy, echoes the same principle. He explains, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become, not a declaration. A vote, and votes accumulate. You do not escape the identity of procrastinator by hating your past. You escape it by completing the next task. You do not escape the identity of anxious by resenting yesterday's panic. You escape it by practicing calm in your next breath. This is where real freedom lives. The person you were yesterday has no authority over the decision you are about to make. The question is no longer, who was I? The only question that matters is, who am I choosing to be with this next action? The past is not your prison, it is your material. You have learned that what cannot be controlled must be accepted, that power lives only in the present, that mistakes are instructors, that fate can be embraced, that identity is forged by action. You are not condemned by what happened, you are shaped by how you respond. But here is the final shift. The past is stone. The present is your chisel. Every disciplined action reshapes what once felt permanent. Every conscious choice weakens the grip of regret. Every courageous step forward rewrites the meaning of what came before. Most people remain archaeologists of their own pain. Few choose to become sculptors. And that difference changes everything. Everything external can be taken from you, but the meaning you assign to your experience is always yours to shape. If this reflection stayed with you until this moment, subscribe to the channel and continue walking with this community. Let the Stoic Lighthouse guide you toward tranquility and wisdom. In the next video, we will place one of history's greatest philosophers under a ruthless Stoic examination. When idealism meets reality, not every idea survives the trial. For now, remember this. Your past is a tool for carving strength, not a monument to worship. See you in the next video.